Do you use watermarks in your Lightroom when you export your photographs? If you don't, in this video, I'm going to show you how to change from the boring watermarks that you can create with Lightroom into more refined watermark that you can create in Photoshop. So stay tuned. So this video is about creating watermarks or logos in Lightroom, but we're going to use Photoshop as our creation tool, and then I'm going to show you how to include those into your Lightroom export routine. So the things we're going to learn in this video is how to make a simple logo or watermark for your Lightroom exports. We're going to be using Photoshop to do that. You're going to be saving your work as a PSD file so we can modify that or edit it later on. We're going to learn about copyright symbols, how to select text, explain about using layers, and why we use a transparent background. Those are the things we're going to learn in this video. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not a professional Lightroom trainer. In fact, I'm not a professional anything. I'm just a hobbyist photographer that likes to present my images in a nice way and to include a polished looking watermark on my images. Some of the things you want to include in your watermark is your name, of course, and a title. If you have a title, you can call yourself photographer if you like, or whatever, creator, videographer, it doesn't really matter. And also a copyright disclaimer inside of the watermark. So those are the three things that we're going to be creating in our new watermark. Now, before I begin with the segment on how to create this watermark in Photoshop, I'm going to show you what a ordinary plain watermark you can create in Lightroom. Nothing fancy, but I just want to show you how plain and boring it can be. Now, for some of you, that may be just fine, okay? It has its limitations. Myself, I would prefer to use Photoshop so I can fancy my watermark up a little bit. So let me show you in Lightroom what I mean. Okay, I have Lightroom opened up here on the screen for you to see, and I just selected an image that I took of a waterfall, and I picked this image because I want to demonstrate to you the difference between having a white watermark and a black watermark. We're going to create both in Photoshop, but I want to show you the differences real quick, and I'm going to show you the plain, ordinary, boring watermarks that you can create during export. There's several ways to edit the watermarks, but I'm going to show you the way I do it. So for example, I have this image up on the screen, and I'm going to change the watermark during the export process. So I'm going to click on, I'm in the library module, as you can see up here. Let me move my face just a little bit out of the way. Okay, we're not going to be doing any editing, so I can probably just park that picture right there. We're in the library module, as you can see here at the top of the screen. We're going to click on the export button. So after selecting the export button in Lightroom to export this photograph, we're going to look at the export properties here, and we're going to go down. We're paying attention to the area here that says watermarking. And notice that the little checkbox is checked to include a watermark, and the watermark that has been selected is the simple copyright watermark. And we're going to edit that to create a new watermark and show you how we can do that. By clicking on the little blue arrows next to that, you get a drop-down menu, and we're going to go to Edit Watermarks. Now, as you can see, I have a very simple copyright watermark. It's just got the copyright symbol there and my name. We're going to modify this to change that. First off, we're going to change what's after the copyright symbol by typing in all rights reserved. And then we're going to push that down a line, okay? And we're going to type in the word photographer, and we're going to push that down a line, and we're going to put in my name. Oops, let me go up one line, and we're going to put in my name. So this is a basic watermark that you can create. you'll notice that you don't have a lot of flexibility on how you can edit the text, the size of the text individually. Like for example, in the watermark we're going to create in Photoshop, I want the name Ron Durant to be larger than the word photographer. And that's very difficult to do inside of Lightroom on the very basic watermark, okay? So things you can change, you can add a shadow to it or turn the shadow off. I'm going to turn the shadow off. You can change the alignment, okay, of the text. You can do something like this. You know, we'll try that right there. You can change the color of the text. This is going to be white for us. If you scroll down, there's some other options here. You can change the opacity of the text by scrolling back that dial right there. And let's go about 90%. You can change the proportions of the text. And it's everything that's in that text box is being effective. So you cannot really control each individual line of text on its own. And that's what we're going to do in Photoshop. I'm going to show you how to do something more special. And we're going to use a graphic as a watermark instead of Lightroom text. So I'm going to save this. But what I want to do is I want to, don't hit save here. I want to come up here to give it a new preset. So save current settings as new preset. And we're going to call this modified Ron. Okay, just for lack of a better word. We're going to say create and we're going to say done. Now we have modified Ron in the box. When I hit export, and now we're going to go look at the photographs that was exported, and there is your watermark, okay? So that's how things are done in Lightroom. And if that's all you need, okay, then that's fine. One thing I see right here is I want to put the year before the word all. So let me go back and I'm going to close this photograph out, and let me go back and modify that again. So we're going to click on export again, go down to the blue boxes, say edit watermark. This is the one that's selected, the modified Ron, and we're going to put our cursor right there, and we're going to type in 2025 and put a space in. Now things don't look quite as good with this text over here. But if I want to move it to the right side of the picture, I could do something like that, okay? And that's a lot of information. It's kind of big, you know, I don't know. Anyways, we're not going to hit save. We're going to hit update. So you go down here and you say update the preset modified Ron, because we've already created it once. Now we're going to export that again. And now you can see it's on the right hand side and it's kind of close to the edge, so we could also change that, and it's got the year in there now. One more time, I'm going to edit that real quick, and I'm going to put chapters in this so you could skip by this if you wanted to. We're going to go back into export. We're going to go back to edit the modified Ron. And you notice it's right up against the edge of this photograph. So how you can move that is by changing your inset. And I'm going to take the horizontal inset and move it over and give it a little more breathing room. Okay, we're going to make that a 2. Again, don't hit the save button. Hit update preset. And then we're going to export it one more time before we go into Photoshop to create our own. And as you can see, that's a little bit better. Anyways, that's a basic watermark in Lightroom. And if that's all you need, that's how you create one. But we're going to go into Photoshop and make one that's a little more fancier. All right, we are now in Photoshop. And the first thing we need to do is create a new document. So we're going to go up, and by the way, I'm using a MacBook, so some things may be a little different if you're using a Windows PC. We're going to go up to File and New, and I've already got one here that I created before, the size I'm wanting to work with, but I want to show you how to do it from scratch. You go over to this side, and the first thing you want to do is give it a name at the very top. So we're going to call this Watermark Lightroom, just so we know that this was something we created for Lightroom. The size of it is going to be 5 inches wide. The height is going to be 2 inches high, and it's going to be a portrait orientation, which is this one right here. The resolution will be 300 pixels per inch. And the important thing is make sure that your background contents say transparent, okay? You want to have a transparent background for this to work. And then we're going to hit the create button. So now we have a blank canvas to start working with. So the first thing we're going to do is create some text. We're going to select the text tool by hitting the keyboard shortcut T, or clicking over here in the toolbar on this left-hand side on the letter T. If you hold the mouse button down, you can see that you have options. We're going to be using the horizontal type tool, which is already selected. We're going to change the color. We're going to start off with a black one. So come up here to the color box, and the color number, I just go right to the numbers at the bottom right here. You'll see this little area where you can type in. The color number for black is 6 zeros in a row. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you just say OK. So now we have black text, and you can choose whatever font you like. I kind of like this Arima Koshi. It's a font that I have found, but you can choose any that you like. It can be Tahoma or Arial or Calibri or Helvetica. You choose what you want. I kind of prefer this one right here. So we're going to select that font. We're going to click inside the layer box here, and we're going to type in my name. Now you'll notice that the type style, which is right here, the font style, is thin right here at the very top. I'm going to make that a little thicker, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this wording right here, and by doing that you just kind of click on the text and hit Control A or Command A on a Mac, and that selects all of it. There's other ways to do that, but that's just the way I do it. I'm going to drop this down, and I'm going to use the light version, okay, which is a little nicer font, okay. While we've got this highlighted, we're going to change the size of this, and I already know, I've already tried this one time, and you'll have to experiment with your own name, but I'm going to need to do 65 points. Now it's out of place, so we're going to move it into place, and we're going to select the Move tool to do that. You come up here to the toolbar at the very top, and I'll hover on this tool right here. The shortcut key is V. We're going to click on that. We're going to hover over the words Ron Durant, hold the mouse button down, and slide it over into position. Now when you see, I'm going to show you right here, when you see that little pink or red line show up, that means that your text is centered. That entire amount of text is centered in that box. I'm going to move it up just a little bit, and I'm going to let go of the mouse key. Now you notice the box is still selected. Here's a pro tip for you. If you want to move this ever so slightly left, right, up, or down, use the arrow keys on your keyboard, and I'm going to show you. It'll nudge it very slowly. I think it's like 1 pixel at a time. So watch, I'm going to hit the up key 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to hit the down key 3 times and put it back where it was, 1, 2, 3. See how that works? As long as you've got this box selected there with that blue around it, then you can do that. Now we're going to create the second word below Ron Durant and change the size of it when we do. So now we're going to select our text tool again over here on the toolbar, and notice the little properties box gets in our way. Let me show you how to move that out of your way. You come over here and click on the left-hand side of that box where all those little pancake things are. Hold your mouse key down so it looks like a fist and drag it down out of the way and then drop it, okay? It's kind of annoying the way it does that. What we're going to do now is go back over and select the text tool again. Make sure you do that. And we're going to click inside the canvas again. Notice how big it is. We're going to type in the word photographer. Don't worry if you make a mistake. If you do, I'm going to show you how to correct that. And then we're going to do the Move tool again, and we're going to move that over here into position. Now it's too big, all right, and that's okay. We're going to select that, get the text tool again, and we're going to select the entire amount of text with Control A, and we're going to change the point size of that to 40. There is not a 40 in the drop down, so what I'm going to do is type it in manually, and you just highlight that little box right there and put in 40. Now we're going to move it into position under the name. So we're going to select the Move tool again. We're going to come down here and hold down on the mouse button, and we're going to slide it into position. And you'll see right there it says it's centered. Now I'm going to drop it right there. It's a little bit close to my name, so let's just nudge it down a little bit since it's already highlighted. We're just going to nudge it down a couple pixels, maybe one more. Let's do one more. Okay. So far we have my name and my title. Looks pretty good, don't it? Now we're going to add the final element, which is your copyright message. Much like we added the text before, we're going to add another line of text. We're going to select the Type tool again, and we're going to come over here and click inside the canvas. Select it again. I don't know why it does that. Now we're going to put it inside the canvas. Notice it kept the same size as the previous text, but we're going to even make this even smaller. So we're going to type in 2025 all, let me hit my caps lock off, Shift, all rights reserved. Okay, don't worry if you can't see that. We're going to resize that. We're going to go up here and select the Move tool. We're going to come down here and grab that text with the mouse button and move it into position. Now while it's selected, we're going to go back to the Text tool and highlight that text by hitting Control A, and we're going to change that size to 15 points. And notice how much smaller that is. Now we're going to hit the Move tool and move that into position just like we did the other text. Okay, and that looks pretty good. It's all centered up really nice. And now we got one more thing to add, and that is a copyright symbol before the 2025 numbers. So let's do that now. Now I do not have a Windows PC to show you this, but if you are a Windows user, this tip is for you. To type in a copyright symbol, and I had to Google this, all right, you have to hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, and at the same time on your numeric keypad, type in 0169. It does not work on a Mac that way, and I'm using a Mac. So what you're going to do is you're going to place the copyright symbol just before the number 2 in 2025. So selecting the Type tool, coming over here, get that selected, click right in front of the number 2, so that's where your cursor is placed, and that's where we're going to put in the copyright symbol on a Windows PC. At this point, you would hold down your Alt key and type in 0169, and it would place that copyright symbol there. But now I'm going to show you, if you don't have a Windows PC, how you can go out to the internet and find your own copyright symbol to place into your document. I have my internet browser up now, and I've come to this website that I found, and I will put a link in the description to this website, and it's got a bunch of copyright symbols here for Mac. And if you'll look, there's a whole bunch of different ones. I really kind of like this site. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it, but I'm not really interested in any of these fancy copyright symbols. If you want to read about some stuff here, it kind of talks about copyright symbols on a Mac. One of the things on a Mac is they say Option plus G will also place that symbol in there, but you have to be using a US keyboard right here where it says US keyboards. I've tried to use it on my Mac. I think my Mac might be set up for international keyboards, okay? So there is another way to get this copyright symbol, but this is a website version right here. So what you can do, and this website's a little quirky, okay, so watch out. You can hover over the symbol you want, and I'm going to take this first one right here, and you can right click on that, okay, and what it does, I'm going to come back to it. If I click on it, if I left click on it, it sends me out to another website. I don't know why, okay, but it does. But then if I come back, if I close that website and come back, I'm able to copy this this watermark, this link right here. Let me do that one more time, and you can do it just for a second. So hit click to copy. It says it copied it to the clipboard. Now we're going to go back to Photoshop, and we're going to place our cursor, excuse me, we're going to place our cursor just before the number 2, and we're on the keyboard we're going to hit Control V, which is the paste option. And as you can see, it pasted our copyright symbol in there. Now I'm going to add a space between that and the number 2 just to kind of space it out. One last thing, we have now moved the line over where it's not centered anymore. So we need to recenter the line, select the Move tool, come down and hover over the text and move it until the little pink line shows up again. Now, you notice what happened there. It kind of jumped up closer to the word photographer. So I'm going to use my arrow keys while I'm hovered over it and nudge that down a little bit. There you go. That is our black logo, all right? And I think it looks really good, and this is one that I'm going to use. So the last thing we need to do is, before we move on and create the white version, I want to go ahead and save my file so I don't lose the work that I've already done. I like what I have here, and I'm going to keep this. So I'm going to go up here into Photoshop, File, and then Save As. And on a MacBook, you get this little dialog up. I'm going to say the name is going to be Watermark Lightroom. That's going to be the name of the file. We're going to save it on my computer. And what we're going to do is we're going to, it's got a name. So we're going to call this Watermark Lightroom Master, okay? Because that's going to create, have both the master file for both the white and the black versions. And I'm going to show you how to export those separately into PNG files. Make sure the format here at the bottom is Photoshop and not one of the other options like TIFF or PDF. We want to save this as a PSD Photoshop file so we can pull it up later and edit it. It's saving it in a folder that I selected, Logo Files. Okay, we're going to go ahead and hit Save. And it's now saved the file. Now we're ready to move on to the next step, which will be creating a white version of this logo. Now that we've have our black version of the logo, we're going to create a white version so we can have both of those. At this point, I have not created the PNG files. We'll do that in just a little bit. But what I want to do is set you up for the creation of the white version. The first thing we need to do is we need to change the name of all these layers here. So start by selecting Ron Durant and double clicking, and we're going to call that one black. And then we're going to do a double click on the word photographer in the layers panel and change it to have a word black at the end of it. And then the same thing here. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to duplicate these layers since I've already got this all set up and formatted the way I want it. So we're going to start with the first one, Ron Durant Black. We're going to right click on that layer. We're going to say duplicate the layer, and then we're going to name this as Ron Durant White, and just say OK. And then we're going to create a one from the photographer one, right click on that, duplicate the layer, and we're going to call it Photographer White. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to duplicate the copyright layer, and we're going to change it to all rights reserved white. Now that we have those, we're going to make this really easy to keep track of and work with later. So what I'm going to do is group these two colors, black and white, into separate groups. So we're going to start off with the black one. So select Ron Durant Black, holding down the Control key, select Photography Black, and still holding down the Control key, click on this one here, All Rights Reserved Black. Now we have those three layers selected. We're going to right click on one of the selected layers. We're going to say New Group from Layers. You're going to click on that, and we're going to call the group black. Okay, very simple. Now all the black layers are in this group, and all the white layers, we're going to do the same thing and create a group called white. So holding down the control key, select the first layer, the second layer, and then this third layer, but we don't want the black layer, so unselect that, okay, by holding down the control key and selecting it again. And we only want the white layer selected, not this group right here. So right click on one of the selected layers, say new group from layers, and we're going to call it white. Now we have consolidated our whites and our blacks into two separate groups. Now we need to modify the white layers to change the color of the text to white. So let's bring down the drop down right here and click on that little arrow. And you see here's all the layers we're going to be working on. So for clarity, I'm going to turn off the black group by clicking on the eyeball here so we can see what we're doing. We're going to go to this layer right here where it says Ron Durant white. We're going to select the type tool. We're going to hover inside and hit Control A to select Ron Durant. We're going to come up to the color box, and the color number for white is 6 letter Fs. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you'll see on the screen that it has changed it to white. And we're going to click OK. We're going to move up to the word photographer, select the type tool again, click inside the word photographer, Control A, and again we're going to change the color to white. And the last one we're going to do, we're going to select the copyright layer, and we're going to select the type tool again, and we're going to put it right there in front of it and go Control A to select all of it, and then we're going to change the color of that. Now all the white layers have been changed. So if I collapse this white box and I have it turned on, I can see, and I'm going to turn the black layer back on. If you want to see the black layer, just unclick the white layer, and there's your black layer. And then the white layer sitting on, the group is sitting on top of it. That's it. That's how you consolidate that. Now, before you continue, we're going to save this file one more time. This is your final version. So go up to File and just hit Save, and it'll save it. Since we already saved it the first time, it'll just save it as the Watermark Lightroom Master PSD file. Now we're going to move on, and we're actually going to create the PNG graphics files that we will need to put this into your Lightroom. So this is pretty basic stuff now, but I'm going to highlight the group white, all right? And I'm going to come up to the top of File and Export. And we're going to go Export As. My format will be PNG right here. Everything's pretty much standard, the same. You don't need to change anything else in here. You go to Export, and then it wants to know where you want to put it. I'm going to put it in my logo files, and you need to give it a unique name, okay? So we don't want to call it Lightroom Master. What we want to call it is, let's call it Watermark Lightroom, just for clarity, white, all right? And it's going to create a PNG file here. And we're going to turn the eyeball off for white so the black is revealed. And now we're going to do the same thing for the black. We're going to go to Export, Export As, and Export again. And this time we're going to change that name to Watermark Lightroom Black. Okay, these are PNG files, graphics files. That's all we need to do. Now, I'm going to leave Photoshop for good now, but I want to mention one thing. You have saved this master file so you can pull it back up and change the year every year for your copyright. And it's real simple to do. You just pull it back up, come in here and click your mouse in there, hit the delete key and put in a 2026, save the PSD file again, and then re-export your PNG files, all right? And that's real easy to do. So we're going to put that back to 2025. I'm going to collapse that group, clean it all up real nice. That is our master file. One more time, I'm going to hit File, Save, and we're going to get out of Photoshop now and go over to Lightroom, and I'm going to show you how to include your PNG files over there. All right, we have our photograph back up in Lightroom, and now what we're going to do this time is we're going to go to Export. We're going to go down to the watermark area again, and we're not using the modified RON one this time. We're going to create some new ones. So use the drop arrow. Use the drop arrow right there. And you know what you can do is say Edit Watermarks, and we're going to create a brand new one here. And I'm going to choose, we're going to start right here. Don't worry about what this text says over here. It's going to go away in a minute. I'm going to choose a PNG or a JPEG file. So hit the word choose, and here are your saved options. Let's start with the white one. We're going to select that one and choose it. And as you can see, it places it right there, okay? It's a little large, so we're going to make some adjustments there. Being that it's a graphics file, you're just kind of limited to opacity and your proportions and how it's placed on the screen. So we're going to change the proportion to 10 and see what that looks like. That's a little small. Let's change the proportion to 15, and let's go with that, okay? I'm going to change the horizontal insert to 0, and we may just move it over just a little bit, okay? And let's give it a little more vertical space, move it up just a little bit. All right, and let's see how that's going to look. I want to save this as a new watermark preset. So the easy way for me to do that is to go up here where the name modified RON is. It's telling you edited that, okay? I'm going to click there and say save current settings as a new preset. We're going to call this Lightroom White. And let's give it a number 1 for like, okay, we'll give it like version 1. Let's do like that. And we're going to create that. We're going to say done. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an export to see what it looks like. See if we need to do any adjustments. So click on the export button. And let's have a look at it. It don't look too bad. Now if it's too bright, you could change the opacity. If it's too large, you could change the size of it. And let's go do that real quick. Go back into export, slide down here, select the Lightroom version 1, white one, and let's see what the opacity is. Let's drop the opacity down to about 80%. And I think the proportions could come down a little bit. So let's drop it down to like 12, all right? And we're not going to hit the save button. We're going to go up here and hit the name. Now we're going to update this preset. Hit update and hit done. Do an export. And now let's look at it and see if it looks any better. I think it does, okay? It looks a lot better. So that is how you add the watermarks into Lightroom after you create them in Photoshop. One last thing we need to do is we need to create one more preset for the black logo. So we're going to go into export, select the Lightroom version 1 again and do an edit on that. And since it's already got the settings already set up like the white one, they'll be identical. We're just going to choose a new PNG file. So hit choose. Now choose the black PNG file, and you can't hardly see it in there, but we don't need to make any changes because these are the same settings we're using for the white logo. Come back up to the name here at the top, click on that, save current settings as new preset, and we're going to call that Lightroom black version 1. I can't remember what we said exactly. Might help to have a little note paper there. Say create, and we're going to say done, and when we do an export, you're going to see that the black logo is kind of hard to see on this darker screen. That's what I was saying. You need to have two different colors, a black one and a white one. All right, that is how you create a custom watermark using Photoshop to place in your Lightroom photographs. If you enjoyed this video and you did get some use out of it and you made it to the end, congratulations. I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is a kind of a direction I want to go in. I want to do more of these training type videos of knowledge that I have to give to you. My name is Ron Durant. I am a photographer and I live in East Tennessee. You all have a nice day now. Bye-bye.